My name is Clara Reed. I am 26 years old, and I live alone in a small rented room in Oak Ridge City. A quiet place filled with tall buildings, busy streets, and people always rushing somewhere. 2 months ago, I lost my job as a receptionist in a small travel agency. That time was very hard for me. Every morning I woke up early, made myself a cup of coffee, and sat in front of my old laptop. I sent out job applications and wrote many emails hoping someone would reply, but nobody did. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. My savings slowly disappeared. I had to count every coin to buy food. My rent was due soon, and I didn't know how I would pay it. I felt tired, scared, and alone. One rainy evening, my best friend Lena came to visit me. She brought a small box of donuts and smiled kindly. But I could see in her eyes that she was worried about me. "Clara, you look so pale," she said softly. "What's wrong?" I told her everything, how I lost my job, how I couldn't pay rent, and how hopeless I felt. She listened quietly. Then she said something that surprised me. "Clara," she said, "some people can't have babies, so they pay women to carry a baby for them. It's called surrogacy. You could earn a lot of money." I looked at her, shocked. "People really do that?" "Yes." She nodded. "It's legal. You could help a family and earn enough to start over." That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words kept echoing in my mind. $50. It sounded impossible, but that money could change everything. I could pay my debts, my rent, and even open my dream coffee shop. So, the next morning I searched online for private surrogacy offers. One had caught my eye. Private agreement, healthy woman needed dollar, confidential serious inquiries only. I read it again and again. The next day, I decided to visit the address. It was a large white house on the edge of the city. My hands were shaking as I rang the doorbell. After a few seconds, a tall man opened the door. He had calm but serious eyes. "My name is Daniel Hart," he said. "You must be Clara." I nodded. He invited me inside. The house was quiet, bright, and smelled like roses. Daniel spoke slowly and carefully. "This is a business arrangement," he explained. "There will be no emotional connection. After the baby is born, you will leave and there will be no contact. You must live here for 9 months. No phone, no friends, no visitors. Everything must stay private." He placed a contract on the table. My heart was beating fast. I didn't read every word. I just knew I needed the money. With shaking hands, I signed my name. And just like that, my 9 months began. Living in Daniel's house was strange and quiet. Quiet. A doctor came every morning to check my health. I ate healthy food, rested a lot, and wasn't allowed to go out. Daniel worked long hours in his office. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his voice was gentle. One evening I found him sitting alone in the living room. He looked lost in thought. When he saw me, said he quietly. "Said you quietly. You can sit if you want." We sat in silence for a while. Then he began to speak. He told me that his wife had passed away two years ago in an accident, and she had been pregnant at that time. His voice trembled when he said, "I just want to have a family again." Hearing this, my heart. His eyes. After that night, things changed a little. Daniel, and I started talking more about books, music, and simple things like the weather. Sometimes he made me tea. Sometimes he even smiled, and when he did, his did. Whole his face whole looked softer one afternoon. We and sat thee in the garden together. The sun was warm and the air smelled of flowers. Daniel looked at me and asked, "Have you thought of names for the baby?" My heart jumped. "Yes," I said shyly. "If it's a boy, I like Liam, it means strong-willed, and if it's a girl, maybe Ella, it means light." He smiled and wrote the names in a small notebook. Heart flutter. Listen. One morning there was a loud knock on the door. When Daniel opened it, a beautiful woman stood outside. Her eyes were full of anger. "Daniel," she shouted. "Who is this woman?" She pointed at me without looking closely. "She's the surrogate. Daniel said calmly. I later learned she was his ex.
Her voice as she said,
"You really think this will your pain?
Pain?
That this is how you move on?"
On?
Then she turned and left. After she left, I felt small and unwanted. I went to my room and closed the door. Later that evening, Daniel came by but said nothing comforting. "She doesn't matter," he said simply. I looked at him and whispered, "Do I matter?" He didn't answer. He just turned and walked away. My heart quietly broke that night. A few days later, when Daniel went out, I decided to clean his study. While dusting, I opened a drawer and froze. Inside was an old photo of me, taken long before I met him. My heart pounded. How did he get it? When he came home, I showed him the picture with shaking hands. "Why do you have this? Why did you look into my past?" He looked down and said softly, "I needed you to make sure you were honest and safe." His words hurt me deeply. "You treated me like a product, not a person, I said through tears. He stood there silently. He didn't. I packed my things and left that night. 2 weeks passed. I was staying with Lena again. My belly was growing, and one morning I felt the baby kick for the first time. Tears filled my eyes. I wished Daniel could have felt it too. Later that day, someone knocked on the door. When I opened it, Daniel was standing there holding a small bouquet of lilies. His face looked tired but gentle. "Clara," he said softly, "I broke my own rules. I said there would be no love, but I fell in love with you." I stared at him, speechless. He continued, "I don't want this to be just an agreement anymore. I want you to stay, not only for the baby, but because I want a family with you." My heart filled with warmth. I stepped closer and whispered, "Yes, Daniel, I'll stay." At that moment, everything changed. It was no longer about money or contracts. It was about love, forgiveness, and a new beginning for both of us, and for the tiny life growing inside me.